Well, hello and welcome to the National Leadership Briefing. This is January 2022. It is good to be with you again. My name is Doug Sharpe, and I will be your host for today. Now, on the briefing today, we are getting back and hitting the ground running. As we said last year, at the very end of the year, we did not want to waste any time. There are far too many things that are coming at us right now for us to get off on a slow start. So for those of you who are new to the briefing, I want to apologize for the pace ahead of time, but that is the pace we keep here on the National Leadership Briefing. We do not slow down. We do not stop, because those who oppose our worldview, they do not sleep. They do not stop. They continue to work through the night. While we are resting and recovering, they are continuing to work their plans. So we are going to work as hard as they are, if not harder, and we are going to conquer, and we're definitely going to come out on the other side victorious. So that is our plan for 2022, is that we are going to continue to work hard. Just a reminder, this is not a place of entertainment. If you're new to the briefing, you're going to learn that pretty quick. As much as I try to make it as painless as possible when we deliver the challenges along with the solutions, we do want you to have a good time. However, that is not the priority. The priority is to get the work done and put in the work that needs to be done to accomplish our goals. So first, before we go any further today, I want to just remind everybody after the break over Christmas and New Year's as to what it is that we rally around here on the National Leadership Briefing, just to make sure that you are in the right place. These are the things that we believe in. First, that parents have the right to raise their children the way they want. Second, that those we elect to serve us in civil government must respect and defend our right of belief and freedom of religion. Number three, that the laws and policies of civil government must provide for the safety and security of the citizens, especially the vulnerable among us. And number four, that it is inappropriate to heap debt upon the backs of our children and future generations. They came from you. They're your pillars. They're the things that you believe. And there you have it. If you are someone who agrees with the principles that undergird these four pillars, you are definitely in the right place, and you have added your voice to ours as we look off onto the horizon, looking for those opportunities where we can advance the principles that are represented by these four pillars into society, culture, politics, and government. And we are so glad that you're here, because as you have added your voice to ours and we all speak together and our voice grows and is louder, we become a greater influence on the outcome of the conversations related to these things. And as you will find, as you spend more and more time with us on the National Leadership Briefing, there are many challenges ahead for us, not just opportunities where we can advance these principles, but there are threats on the horizon as well. And we're going to talk about a couple of those today, so stick around there. Now, before I go any further, I want to make sure that if you are new to the briefing today, that you go to the National Leadership Briefing website. And the reason why I want you to go to the website is because there are two critical things that you need to know about the website, nlbcanada.ca. And again, that's nlbcanada.ca. It's critical that you know two things. First of all, the registration point for the National Leadership Briefing is there. So as you invite others to join you on the National Leadership Briefing, to add their voice to ours, to grow our overall influence as we deal with these things that are coming at us, you will need to know where that registration link is. So it's right there on the front page, and that is what you share with other people in your immediate sphere of influence, with your family, with your friends, with your church family. Please make sure that you share that far and wide so that we can grow and continue to grow and increase our influence. So that's on the first page of the website. You, as someone new, also will need to go to the tab on the website called NLB Essentials. The NLB Essentials tab, when you click on it, you're going to find 4 videos. One of them is an expanded version of the 4 pillars video. So you're going to find more information about the 4 pillars there, and you're going to need that information to build that foundation of understanding as to who we are, why we're here, and what we're doing. This is a very important video for you to watch. You also have 3 other videos. One of them is the Horizon training video, which explains to us in detail why it is we do things the way we do things, why it is that we come together on the briefing once a month for 1 hour, always only for 1 hour, always on the first Friday of every month, and why it is that we continue to build this habit of coming together once a month only for an hour. It's because we're looking on the horizon for those opportunities and threats that are coming at us so that we can use the immediate road ahead of us to prepare to meet those, either meet the opportunities prepared or else confront the threats that are coming at us. So that's really important. The Horizon training video. There's also something called the You training video, which helps you to understand why you are so important. And you're going to find that out really quick on the National Leadership Briefing. Again, I got to tell you, it's not about me. It's not about what's coming at us. It's all about you. It's all on you. And it's not someone else doing something for you here. It's you doing something for yourself and for your neighbor. That's what it is that we want you to understand by watching that You training video. And then finally, we have the third video, of course, which is an extremely important one because it's called the Sphere Authority Training video, which helps us to understand the spheres of authority in society and why an overreaching civil government is such a threat to us and why we need to contain civil government. We need to restrain civil government within what we call their jurisdictional limits of their constitutional authority. So it's very important that we spend time watching those videos. If you're new, again, it'll establish an excellent foundation for you to fully understand why it is that you're here and why it is that you're going to spend 1 hour once a month with me. Okay, so let's make sure you get that square in your mind first, because I do not want you to miss any of the briefings. Now, again, if you're new and want to follow up, just make sure you know this as well. If you're unable to make the briefing on the time that the briefing is called, then you're going to have an opportunity to watch it later because we send out something called post notes. So everything that I talk about on the briefing, on any given briefing each month, there's always going to be a video that comes to you by email after the briefing. It's going to be the 1 hour video plus any of the supporting documentation or references or resources that we share during the briefing. So it's a handy reference pack that you're going to get. It's going to be delivered right to your hands. We always try to deliver it to you in easily manageable pieces so that you don't have this monster document to deal with. You can like select different parts of it that are of particular interest to you or something you can use in that particular moment. But make sure you check your email right after every briefing. It's by the end of each day that there's a briefing. You should have that package in your email. All right, so let's get to the agenda for today. Let's take a look at what we are covering for today, because I want you to be prepared. Of course, we are going to continue to confront the crisis of democracy that we are facing in our nation right now. For those of you who have been tracking along with us, we do have a crisis that's occurring right now in our House of Commons at the federal level of our government. We have a crisis where the opposition party, the Conservative Party of Canada, has abdicated their responsibility, quite truly, quite frankly, by refusing to oppose. When Her Majesty's loyal opposition refuses to oppose, it is a crisis for us in Canada, because they are there in the House of Commons to challenge the government, the current federal Liberal government, on the legislative proposals that they bring forward. And they have recently, on a very important piece of legislation, refused to oppose and abdicated their responsibilities, which has caused a crisis for us, which we need to address. And we're going to follow up with some of the letters that we've been receiving about that. So stick around for that. And then we're also going to be bringing to you, because we have this crisis of democracy, we're going to make sure that we continue to work our plan of always bringing forward the challenges and then delivering for you up the solutions as well at the same time. We're never, ever going to light our hair on fire and run down Main Street and just make a bunch of noise without also bringing a very well thought out, very, very manageable, very workable plan to confront the challenge itself. So challenge, solution, always going to bring that to you. And we're going to do that again today. Then we're going to be talking about making sure that we're clear on who our actual enemies are. And I use the word enemies, but I want you to make sure you watch the video to the very end if you're catching this after the briefing, because The enemies that I'm speaking about are not individual people. We do not make enemies and frame enemies of people. People are who we're called to serve and love. Even if we disagree with them, even if we are having challenges with the decisions that they make, they are not our enemies. We have other enemies, and I want to make sure that we're clear on who they are and what they are. And then finally, we're going to do a brand new thing today. It's just to kick off the new year, and it's called the horizon check. As you know, as I mentioned before, we're checking the horizon all the time for opportunities and threats, and I want to make sure that we're clear on an opportunity or threat that's coming to us with a brand new segment called a Horizon Check. And I'm going to be bringing a brand new piece to you there as well today. So stick around for that right to the very end. And then we are going to get the year kicked off great today. So after this quick video, we'll get started right away with our agenda and deal with our crisis in democracy that we have here in Canada. Okay, let's get started. Important we do, because it is a crisis in democracy, as I have said before, and I'd like you to make sure that people understand it to be a crisis. Do not think that this is something that is a little deal. Now, some of the members of parliament that have, I've been seeing some of the letters that have been coming back, they are trying to make us believe that this is just a nothing to see here, folks, kind of a set of circumstances, but I can assure you that they are misleading you, because there is in fact a real challenge here that we've got to deal with when it comes to things like this. So what is it we're talking about? Let's take a quick look. First of all, a bill was introduced in the House of Commons at first reading, just the way bills are introduced in the House of Commons all the time. They come in at first reading, they get considered, debated, discussed, and then they go to second reading. That's where they read the bill again at second reading. There's some more debate. Then it goes to committee. There's possibly amendments that are made, and there's votes all the way along the way, and lots of opportunity for discussion and conversation. And the government bills that are presented are challenged and questioned by Her Majesty's loyal opposition. That is how it works. So we have a current Liberal government that presented a bill, Bill C4. We have a Her Majesty's loyal opposition who sits on the other side of the House and questions the government on that. They have opportunities to present and propose amendments at committee. They have an opportunity to have Canadians come in, citizens at large, people like you, people like me who live in our electoral districts. We can go and meet with our members of parliament and share our views on these issues. And we can participate in the process, because it is a process that goes over a period of time and is very well defined and is being used all the time by our House of Commons. However, in this case, Her Majesty's loyal opposition, who refused to take up the challenge of opposing a bill, they decided that they were going to rush the bill through the House of Commons and put it into the Senate. Then we had an even greater crisis occur when the Senate received the bill after no discussion in the House of Commons, and then decided they were going to move the bill all the way through their process without any kind of input or discussion and make it law. So this is the crisis that we have. We have elected representatives in the House of Commons who have decided that input from Canadians is not required on certain pieces of legislation. Now, we have, over the course of this last month, made sure that we're informing Canadians about why this is such a challenge. We're informing citizens as to why it is that it's so important that we communicate our concerns to our elected representatives in the House of Commons. And we have been getting feedback from those elected representatives. And sadly, and again, I'm flying over this at 30,000 feet, because we've got limited amounts of time here. We got to get on to the solutions, but I want you to check those videos, those detailed videos in December 3rd, National Leadership Briefing, all the way through to December. Check those video archives. You'll get more information. But we have a situation here where we're starting now hear back from our members of parliament, the very ones who participated in the rushing of this bill through the House of Commons. And sadly, we are not hearing anywhere near the apologies or the regret or the expression of regret or any kind of, instead, what we're actually receiving are very, very concerning things. We're receiving lies. We're getting back actually deceptive language. We're getting back like accusations. They're actually like accusing us of doing something wrong, like we didn't just support them enough or whatever in the last election. And so it's kind of sad, because what we're finding is that they're not apologizing and committing to never doing this again. Herein lies the crisis, because if we have a bunch of parliamentarians in the House of Commons who do not think it's important to involve Canadians in the processes of Parliament as legislative proposals move through the House of Commons, if they think they can just do it all on their own without us, and we let them do it once, they will do it again, and they will do it again, and they will do it again. So this is why we need to speak up now. Now, let me give you an example of how bad some of these responses are, because we've gotten even more since the last ones we've updated you. Here's one that I want to share with you. It's from a member of parliament to their constituent. It's the person who lives in their own riding. And it says, "Thank you for reaching out regarding the Liberal C4. I have made a note of your stance on the issue." Okay, now that's a pretty flat statement, and it's nice that you made a note of it, but that's not why our people and the people that we have been communicating to, the constituents out there, are writing these letters. They're writing because they're extremely concerned about the fact that they were excluded from having an opportunity to speak into this issue because they advanced the bill so quickly through the House of Commons. Now, then they go on, they said, "In my opinion, this legislation had thorough review, discussion, and study in the previous Parliament, and therefore I supported having C4 return to the Senate." So they're saying that in their opinion, that the previous Parliament had reviewed the bill enough, that they didn't have to review the bill anymore because it had enough of a review at that time. Now I hate to say that, and I'm just, and maybe it's not intentional, so I will grant some slack there, but that actually on its face is a lie, because they're actually leading you to believe, or trying to make you believe, that this bill C4, had in fact been discussed in a previous Parliament, and it had not. They are referring to Bill C6, which is a different bill that had discussion around it in the previous Parliament. And as long as we let them continue to keep referring to Bill C6, the previous bill, and make us believe that whatever they did with that is good enough, that they didn't need to do it with Bill C4, then we just got to stop, and we got to go, wait a second, stop doing that. Stop insulting me into believing that Bill C6 is Bill C4, because it's not. We just got to put our foot down on that. But we're continuing to see these things. Another thing is that we've got some members of Parliament that are being quite honest with us, and they're actually saying, "Look, I was about to get beat up by my own people in my own caucus." So here it is. We have in the Conservative caucus, in Her Majesty's loyal opposition, within their own party, they were actually not standing up against this move to race this bill through the House of Commons, because it was, let me quote it, "It was an unappetizing prospect to be targeted by my own people." So if you've got that kind of a challenge within the Conservative caucus in the House of Commons, and you are Her Majesty's loyal opposition and supposed to be sitting there together, where you're worried about being targeted by your own people. Now, it's okay in caucus if you disagree, But if you've got people attacking you from within your own caucus, then we have a problem with our caucus, with the caucus of the Conservative Party of Canada. And if Her Majesty's Loyal Opposition and the caucus is broken, then they are not able to do their job. And this is, again, why we brought in the requirement here. One of the things that we're calling for is a change in leadership, because if the caucus is broken, if you've got citizens within the caucus of Her Majesty's Loyal Opposition that are fearful of being attacked or targeted by their own people, then we have a leadership problem, because the leader's job is to prepare and bring forward a credible, unified governing alternative to the Liberal government. That is what they want to be preparing for. They want to be one day forming government themselves. But if they're infighting and they're to the point where they can't even agree that they're not going to target each other, this is crazy to have this kind of language. Also, another thing that continues to happen is there's this feeling within these letters like somehow we have done something wrong as Canadians because we have not voted the Conservative Party into government. That there's kind of like this hey, the reason why we're having this problem is what they're trying to tell us is because you didn't vote for us and make us the government of the land. And that's really, really insulting to hear. I know I've talked to these constituents who are receiving these letters from their members of parliament, and it's very challenging when your member of parliament takes something that is entirely their fault. It is. I mean, again, I'm being real direct here about this. Don't let them make you think, not even for a second, that any part of this is your fault, because it is entirely their fault. It is entirely wrong, and they carry the weight and the burden of this being wrong on their own shoulders, which is why we wanted to ask them. We're only asking them for this one thing, two things actually. We're asking them to apologize. We're just asking them to say, look, we apologize. This is what happened. This is why it got raced through the House of Commons. It's wrong. We're sorry. It won't happen again. That's the second thing we want them to commit to, is that it will not happen again. I'm sorry, and we won't do it again. And then we're all back to business. But you know what? Sadly, again, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to see members of parliament just absolutely refuse to accept responsibility for something that they did wrong, which is, again, why it's a crisis. It's a crisis because, again, if we don't say something then to them and make sure that they know we're concerned about it and that we want to have this fixed, then they're going to do it again. And we've got other pieces of legislation that are coming down. So, okay, so that is the crisis in democracy that we're facing. Not only did they do something wrong, and most importantly, the Conservative Party of Canada, the Conservative caucus, and especially those individuals within caucus who might be the loudest voices in the room, who are willing to turn their guns on each other. You're going to actually target somebody that doesn't share your views on a particular issue within your own caucus, and you're going to target them, and then the person who actually didn't have the spine to stand up against the threat of being targeted. That's also a crime, right? But we've got this problem. So now we've got to talk about the solutions. Now we have to now say to ourselves, look, we're citizens of Canada. We got a problem here. We got a real problem here. And again, I'm telling you right now, you can let them tell you it's no big deal and there's nothing to see here, folks. But I want you to know that there's something very significant to see here. And right after this break, we're going to take a quick look at this video, because this is going to be the website where we are going to work from to solve this problem within the Conservative Party of Canada. And it's a website called conservativeupdate.com. We've used it before, but let's watch this quick video. And then you and I are going to come back and we're going to talk about the solutions to the problem that we've got right now. Okay, so conservativeupdate.com. Now I'm going to make sure that there's a link that you can save as a favorite on your computers, but I'll make sure there's a link in the post briefing notes today. Now, that website, as I say, is going to be the website where we're going to work from. We want to have independent sources of information available to you, independent of local media, independent of the parties themselves, independent websites that do not have the spin or the bias. So conservativeupdate.com is part of what's called the family of websites that we are hosting. Now we're going to be rolling out another one later on in the briefing today. I'm going to save that as a surprise, but I want you to know conservativeupdate.com is a website you are going to be going back to and referencing as we move through this process and as we work the solutions to these problems that we've got with the Conservative Party of Canada and our current Conservative caucus. All right, so first of all, before we go into the solutions, I want to, it's not something I like doing. It's something that as I say, we always want to talk and keep the focus on you on the National Leadership Briefing. It's not about me. As I said before, it's just entirely on you and up to you. But I need you to hear something about me before we go any further, because there are going to be competing voices out there on the road ahead as we work solutions here on the National Leadership Briefing, and you go out into the world and you start exercising your authorities and doing the things that we're going to ask you to do. You're going to be challenged by people that are going to say, wait a second, I've got a better idea or whatever, or I've got a different idea, or that's not right, you should try this. And that's all fine. I encourage you to make all your own decisions as to exactly the track that you take. But I want you to have an understanding as to where I'm coming from and from what perspective I'm coming from when I'm giving the suggestions and offering the counsel that I'm giving as to what I believe the solutions are, so that you can hold up the person's commentaries, whatever they give you out there, to mine, and hold up the source as well to who I am. And I mean, I'm just going to tell you, I'm capable of being wrong, but I want to make sure that you know I'm speaking from a position of a little bit of experience. So I'm going to go through a little of the detail of my experience here so that you, again, know where I'm coming from when it comes to speaking to solutions like this. Okay, first of all, I have not always been politically aware. As a matter of fact, it's only been in the last 20 some years that I even knew how to vote. Up until 20 years ago, I had never even cast a vote before, but I became politically aware 20 years ago. And I started looking around at the different political parties out there, because I really had this feeling as though I was supposed to encourage people to participate. This goes back 20 years. When I found the Conservative, or pardon me, at that point in time, it was called the Canadian Alliance, I found what I considered to be something that I was pretty much as closely aligned to my views and values as I could find out there. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfectly aligned. As a matter of fact, I was kind of still trying to figure out my own views myself. So it was kind of this thing where I just kind of felt like this is where I think I should be. And I immediately jumped in and I began engaging in the political processes of Canada through a political party. So 20 years ago was the first time that I voted. I volunteered in every federal election campaign since then. I've been door knocking, talking to constituents at doors. I've been putting up signs, taking down signs, making phone calls, handing out pamphlets. Now, a lot of you have probably been doing this your whole life. I just started 20 years ago, but I've been elected, and I've also been elected and served on 10 electoral district associations. We're going to talk about that in a bit here as a solution. So I want you to know I'm currently on an electoral district association, and I've always been on one. You know, I mean, it's just what I've done. I've chaired 16 EDA, that's EDA is Electoral District Association. I've chaired 16 association board committees, including fundraising, membership, policy, and convention prep. I've been elected and served 8 times as a member of the executive committees of riding associations. Over the years, I've been elected and served as I was Preston Manning's writing executive president. I was Stephen Harper's writing executive president, and I've been Stockwell Day's writing executive president. So that's the president of the local boards. I was elected and served on the national board of directors of a federal party. And one of the things that we did with that federal party was, that was the Canadian Alliance, was as a board, as a national governing board, we actually worked with the PC Party of Canada and on merging the two parties together. When I was on that board, that is when we actually put the vote to the members of the Canadian Alliance. We actually put a motion forward. As a matter of fact, I actually put the motion forward, and at the National Council meeting, and I said, I propose that we put the question to the members, 175,000 members, roughly. I think I may be off a bit on that, but and say, do you want to merge with the other party? I also served on the policy committee that helped to merge the two policy books of those political parties. I've also served on the campaign teams in the federal elections of 2004, 2006, 2008, and 2011. I've been elected and attended all the policy conventions in the last 20 years. Many of the times I was actually leading the delegation as the policy chair. I was hired as an employee of the House of Commons in 2006, and I served 5 years as an executive assistant to a federal cabinet minister. I was then asked to serve on the local board of a citizen action organization. That's the organization that I am now the president of. And I also host the national leadership briefing and I stay engaged all the time. So I am telling you this, not again, it's not because I'm trying to blow my horn or anything. I'm just trying to tell you that as people come up and tell you that there are other solutions out there, then I want you to hold up their pedigree and their history and their experience and just use it as a marker. You can still take anybody's advice you want out there, but I'm just suggesting to consider taking mine, because I really believe everything that I tell you is going to be working towards the goals and objectives that you and I share, the things that we need to accomplish. I believe that this is the best way. Now, I'm also capable of being wrong. So I own that. If I'm wrong, I'll be the first guy on here saying, oops, messed up, that wasn't right. But I do want you to know that when it comes to the solutions that I'm about to propose to you, I really do believe that this is what we need to do, okay, from my perspective and from my experience. So let's get started. First of all, we have to first off acknowledge that if we are going to tackle a challenge within a conservative party, within the Conservative Party of Canada, or with any party, we've got to become members of it. So this is a part of the message that I really want you to just lock it down and do it. Don't question it. You need to be a member of the party starting right now. So we're going to put a link in the post-briefing notes, and you need to join the Conservative Party of Canada. Now, if you are actively working with another political party, as I say, I am totally understanding that you have other parties and other things that you think might be the solution to the problem. As I say, hold up that advice and counsel against mine. But I'm telling you, where we need to gather now, where we need to unify, where we need to speak with a combined voice is from inside of the Conservative Party of Canada. So much as I appreciate everything else you're doing, please consider lending your support to this initiative by joining the party now. We need you as a member, a voting member, because with all of the membership within the Conservative Party of Canada, with all of your memberships come rights and privileges that we've talked about before. So anyway, so that's the first thing. The second thing is we need you to commit with everything that you can, every promise you've ever made. This is just a commitment we need you to make, is we need you to commit to vote in any opportunity that we present to you. So if as a member of the party, or as a citizen of Canada, or as a constituent within your electoral district association, any opportunity that you have to vote and exercise your authority, we need you to take full advantage of. So make the commitment now. Just say, I'm a Conservative Party of Canada member, and I am going to commit to vote at every opportunity that's presented on the National Leadership Briefing. And then that will take a lot of those other little decisions out of the way. You won't have to think about it again because you've already made those two commitments. That alone is going to change the tide of this crisis that we're in. That alone, if you think about the numbers of people that we are in Canada who believe that parents should have the right to raise their children the way they want, and that our right of belief and freedom of religion should be respected, and that we should prioritize the vulnerable when we're making our laws and policies, and we want to immediately remove that burden of debt off the backs of our children and future generations. Just that one commitment alone, if we all made it, our problems would disappear. And so many of our problems are because we're just not present in the conversation. So get present. Membership and a commitment to vote in every opportunity. Next thing is that any opportunity that we have to add authority or to add some kind of influence, we want to capitalize on. So stay tuned to the National Leadership Briefing. It's not because I want to monopolize 1 hour of your time for no reason every month. Believe me, we want to have you on every single National Leadership Briefing so you can build your understanding of what's going on out there brick by brick. You build that foundation of understanding, because when we capitalize, when we initiate, when we engage, when we launch those torpedoes into the water, we want to all have a clear understanding as to what we're doing and why we're doing it. So I need you to commit to be on the briefing every single time. And then of course, finally, as part of that engagement, we've got all these individual missions that we need to execute. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Right after this video, I'm going to actually say there are individual missions, things that we are going to deploy to actually accomplish very specific tasks at different levels within the party. And I need you to participate in those as well. So let's watch this quick video. Remember, we're a massive unified voice. We have an opportunity here to speak with that voice. And we're going to get into some specific strategies that'll give you that opportunity to do that all together. All right, we'll be right back.
It's time to wake up from our slumber
and stand together, united as one. One family, one body, one church.
We will not walk past the vulnerable.
Say nothing, do nothing, and turn a blind eye.
We are citizens of a great nation.
We are good Samaritans to our neighbors. You are not alone.
We are the largest unified voice in Canada.
So we stand united.
This is our rally cry. We are Christ to our nation. This is our battle cry. He shall have dominion from sea to sea and from the river unto the ends of the earth. Righteousness will reign. Justice will prevail. We are united.
You know, it really is amazing to think about just by our sheer numbers, the amount of influence that we could have if we really were truly unified around the things that we believe in. I mean, sometimes I say that so fast here on the National Leadership Briefing that the clarity and the impact of a statement like that is lost. So I want to slow it down and go think about it. I mean, if you've got, I don't know, 4 million evangelical Christians, and you've got millions of Catholics, and you've got, you know, millions of people of the Jewish faith, and we all agree that our rights of belief and freedom of religion here in Canada must be respected and defended, as an example, pillar number 2. If we all rallied around that, or if even a large portion of us rallied around that, so many of our challenges here in Canada would again simply disappear. We wouldn't be dealing with individual bills like Bill C-4 that so obviously disrespected our right of belief and freedom of religion. We would prioritize the vulnerable in a very different way as well, because we know that as people of faith, that the solutions that we offer are ones that provide permanent prosperity in the lives of our neighbor. I mean, that's the only reason we're here. That's the only reason why we're doing what we're doing, is because we believe that the solutions that we present and that we bring forward will prosper our neighbor and our nation. So this is why I guess I wanted to slow that down just a bit here. The sheer incredible possibility and potential of what we're doing here should be pretty exciting to you, because it sure is. But it all starts again with you. It starts with you coming on the briefing, coming back on the briefing, making that commitment to add your voice to ours. And we sure appreciate that you've chosen to do that. Now let's get into some of the specific solutions and some of the specific strategies that we need to deploy now that we've got the foundations down. We understand that we've got a crisis in democracy. And again, please don't let anybody tell you there isn't one, because there sure is. We've got a real problem here. And it's probably over 20 years. I've just told you what my experience is. I've never seen one bigger. I've never seen one of a grander scale with the potential to do more damage than what just happened in our House of Commons with the moving of this bill through the process. So this is something we need to deal with it. We just have to. If we don't, we're done. That's it. Okay. So here, solutions, specific solutions. It all starts, everything I'm about to tell you, all of the solutions that we've got to present here today, it all starts with this, and that is your sphere of influence. And I'm going to make a note here on the post-briefing notes at this stage again. Please, as I say, go to that NLB Essentials page on the National Leadership Briefing website, because that one video called You Training explains you and your role in developing what we call your sphere of authority. This is the foundation of the success of all of our strategies, is if you accept the responsibility of your place at the center of a sphere of authority, that you have a group of people and citizens and families and all these people around you, church family members, that you can influence by simply being present within their orbit. You are in their orbit. And so that is what we call your sphere of authority. And what draws people to you and what brings people and attracts people to you is the discovery of the things that you share in common. So that's why we encourage you to fully understand the 4 pillars and use them as the points of connection. That's why we encourage you to use language tracks, like going up to people around you and just saying, hey, are you concerned at all about the rights and right of belief and freedom of religion and the fact that it needs to be respected by civil governments? You know, find out what are people thinking about it. That's how you build your sphere of authority. And then when you identify others who share your views and values, then you ask them if you can serve them. Well, do you mind if I keep in touch with you and share opportunities with you where we can advance this thing that we believe in together into the spheres of society, culture, politics, and government? And then if you watch these videos on the NLB website, that you'll see the suggestion made to then plug them into the National Leadership Briefing, because you can let them know that we're here to help you as well. That in fact, there are thousands of Canadians from all across the nation who also share your views and values and are willing to work with you to advance these things that we believe in together, so that we can speak with a unified voice. But it's really important that you accept that responsibility first, because as you grow your sphere of authority, let's say you've got 10, 20, 30 people locally that you're in touch with, that you have their email addresses, that you know how to get in touch with them, that you send them information from time to time. Don't bury them. Encourage them to get on the National Leadership Briefing. Let us do all the legwork. We can actually continue to keep them informed on the training side of things, but you add that personal touch and that relationship side of it and serve them locally, because that local group is going to be so powerful and so powerfully used in accomplishing our goals. And let me tell you what a couple of them are. Here we are into the strategies. We have local members of parliament in ridings, in your local ridings. Like, you live in an electoral district, you live in a geographic area that is represented by a member of parliament, and you are a constituent because you live in that riding. And you have constituent authority to speak about what is happening in government to your elected representatives. Well, if you grow your sphere of authority locally by serving people locally and bringing them together, you have more influence locally with that member of parliament because you're a larger group of people. Sometimes people tell me, they go, hey, if I go into my local member of parliament, I'm just one voice. Well, what if you went in there and you had, 40 people with you? You think you'd feel more comfortable? Well, the truth is that there are more than 40 people around you. I'm telling you right now, your views and values are very popular. The things that we care about, thousands of other people around you care about them as well. You just got to find them and serve them and bring them together and then speak with that unified voice locally to your member of parliament. So the local strategy is to build a group of people, the sphere of influence around is serve them, communicate with them, plug them into the national leadership briefing, give each other the high sign, say, hey, how you doing? Stay in touch, that sort of thing. But then speak to your local member of parliament and let them know what you think about different things. Communicate, and we'll help you with that. We're gonna help you with that all the way along, but build those relationships locally. That's with your elected representatives locally. Now, the second thing, though, is because you're also a committed member of the Conservative Party of Canada, is that you have an electoral district association board. It's the volunteer board that is there to advance Conservative candidates and try and get them into the House of Commons or return them to the House of Commons if they're already in the House of Commons. Well, we want to have influence there as well. So if you get 30 or 40 people that you're serving locally, then all of you apply to be on the board locally, on that local Conservative Association board. And we've got people that we're in relationship with, an organization called Right Now. They have fantastic information I'm going to put in the post notes today to help you get your head around what that board's all about and what they do and all that stuff. But we're going to help you get on those boards. And it's been happening across the country already, but maybe you just haven't thought about it as to what you can do to get on the board and get 30 or 40 more of your friends on there too. Because once you're on that board, then you can also start something called candidate search. You can be the one that can participate in the committees to help look for the candidates that are going to run to become members of parliament. And you go, Doug, you're getting way over my head here, man. I didn't want a full-time job out of this. No, I'm talking about all this is part-time. All this is like, you'd be shocked at how little time that you have to actually put into this to actually get great results if you do it right. And how much fun it can be too. It can be actually a lot of fun. But that's what we want to do, is get your sphere of authority, get your sphere of influence together, get everybody around you. And then what you want to do is you want to actually advance your authority and advance your influence into a set of circumstances like candidate search, when now we're going to pick a candidate. So you've got you yourself, you're talking to your elected representative, whoever that is right now. You're now on a local association board that doesn't take up a lot of your time, but you're in there with a bunch of your friends, a whole bunch of you. And then the next opportunity comes up, and that's the upcoming convention, the policy convention in 2023. It may come sooner, who knows? But you also have an opportunity to speak into the policy of the party. And we're going to just deliver it through conservativeupdate.com. We're going to deliver you on a platter policy proposals and things that will represent your views and values. And you can go, yep, I like that. I think I'm going to vote for that, because I already made a commitment before to Doug that I was going to get my Conservative Party membership, and I'm going to vote at every opportunity. Here is one of those opportunities. I like the look of that policy proposal, and I think that would look really good inside the policy book of that party. So I'm going to vote too. And that's the policy convention. And then finally, the other one, and again, they're bullet points today, but if you stay in relationship and you start building your sphere of authority and increase your influence locally, then you'll be ready to capitalize on all this, because we're going to lay these out in front of you on the road ahead. We've checked the horizon. We know what opportunities are there. We understand the threats, and we're preparing for them on the immediate road ahead. And the last one we're going to be preparing for, which is right in front of us right now, and it is such a great need. And that is to, as party members, work to remove and replace the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. And again, it's not because he's like an enemy. Again, we're going to talk about that in a second. He's not an enemy. It's just that he's not the leader that we need. He's not the leader that is going to lead us through this challenge. We need a leader that is going to unify the party, bring the party together, and create that situation or scenario where we have a credible governing alternative to the current liberal government, which is very hostile to us and our way of life. So this is really important that you understand that none of this is personal. Like, I mean, this is just, hey, Mr. O'Toole is the leader of the party, and I actually like the guy. I actually think the guy's a pretty awesome guy. Looks like he's got a fantastic family too, but he's not the person that's going to lead this party to where it needs to be. As a matter of fact, I'm telling you right now that if we leave him in there, we're going to lose the next election, and we're going to be in a liberal government forever. Like, this is it. Like, this is one of the very key things I see on the horizon here, is such an embedding of liberalism, like, pardon me, not liberalism, but the liberal party ideas and changing the system so much and gaming it to the degree where we can't even get our conservative governments elected anymore. So we can't afford to waste another election. We need to get a leader that's going to lead us through this and create that governing alternative that's credible and unified to the people of Canada. One that's based on first principles of conservatism, that doesn't shirk their responsibilities to oppose legislation as the opposition, and that will lead credibly in the future to replace the government. So that's what I believe that's what we've got to do. So when the leadership opportunity comes, that's the next thing, that the next strategy, which we're working on creating those conditions. We need to be ready to replace that leader with another leader, one that perhaps is a 4-pillar leader, one that will respect and defend our right of belief, and understand the jurisdictional authority between civil government and the family. And so you don't step in and tell parents how to raise their kids, because it's parents who decide. These are the things that we're working on right now. But again, stay in relationship with us, because those are the strategies. Connecting with your member of parliament after building your sphere, right? Communicating your concerns with many others with you. That local electoral district association board of the Conservative Party of Canada, join it with all your friends. 30, 40, there's a maximum of 30 people there, but you guys can all run off together and let 30 of them win, and 10 other people can help out. Then definitely need to get ready for that policy convention. Definitely need to, and pick those candidates that you want to run in the next election. And then finally, leadership. That's what we need to be focusing on right now, all of us. Now, when I say all of us, you could say, well, I'm just one person. Yeah, but you're one person maybe at a local church. Go talk to your pastor. Introduce your pastor to this video. Share me with him. Let me do the talking. We've got lots of resources on our website that you could share with your local pastor. Pastors out there, if you're a pastor out there and you say, you know what, Doug, that's all politics, and my job is shepherding a church, I just encourage you, please don't dismiss this too quickly, because the challenges and the crisis that we're in right now are at your door. They're at your door, and they're about to not knock, they're going to kick it in. This problem that we've got is a problem of the church, and the people that sit in your pews are under threat. They are under siege, and they are being threatened. And this solution here is not one that is going to be excessively political. As a matter of fact, the only reason why we're doing any of this is because we believe that civil governments, which are established by processes that are political, ones like the ones we're talking about right now, these civil governments have the power to make decisions that are going to impact the lives of the people sitting in your pews. That's why we're doing this. We're doing this because we're called to love our neighbor. And our current governments are not understanding that. We need to install a good and more godly government, quite honestly. One that is aligned more closely with values that help people, not hurt them. So I'm not going to try and convince you of that now, but I'm telling you, this strategy right now is not going to cause controversy or division in your church, not the way we're doing it, because we're always going to pursue what's best for our neighbor. That's the goal. But we're going to use the levers of politics and government to accomplish that. Anyway, I'm going to leave that with you there now, and we're going to come back in a moment here and just wrap up, because I've got two things I want to share. Quick list of enemies, our real enemies, and I'm also going to tell you a little bit about what we're working on the road ahead as we look on the horizon. Anyway, God bless you. Thanks for your attention so far, and we'll come back and wrap up right away. Bye for now. Well, thank you so much for your attention today. We're on the home stretch, so we're going to wrap up here, but I wanted to just bring these final 2 points to you today. First of all, let's talk about the enemies of our plan. The enemies of our plan are not people. We've talked about that before. The enemies of our plan are these two things: division and distraction. Those two things are what it is that we need to guard against. Now, if you want to be proactive and go beyond just guarding against division and distraction, you can work towards the opposite, and that is focus instead of distraction and unity instead of division. So focusing on unity is what I've always said is going to be a good thing anyway. But right now, as I say, we've talked a lot. We've spoken a lot about grand plans today. We've sowed some vision out in front of us. We've got some solutions laid out and things to consider and work towards in the future. But division and distraction are going to come upon us, and we've got to be prepared. So please keep that in mind, focusing on unity, not focusing on division and distraction. That's my encouragement there. Now, finally here today, just before we wrap up, I want to let you know that there is something that is on the horizon that we need to deal with, and that is the Liberal government. Our current Liberal government is just playing a little bit too hard the idea of legalizing or decriminalizing prostitution here in Canada. Now, it's two different things, legalizing and decriminalizing, and we're going to be watching that very closely. But if they make a move in Canada to do either here in Canada, what they in essence will be doing is taking something that is illegal in Canada, which is the purchasing of sex. Now, let's be clear. In Canada, the purchasing of sex from someone else is illegal in Canada right now. So it's a criminal offense. You can actually get a ticket. You can get arrested if you purchase sex, if you lay down money to buy sex from another person. And I'm driving that point home because what the Liberal government will be proposing is that they will now be able to purchase sex legally. So you're going to have, just imagine this, you're going to have 338 members of parliament, many of them men, many of them women too, but many of them men are going to sit there and they're going to cast a vote as to whether or not it will become legal for them to purchase sex or not. Right? That's what they're going to be considering. And so we really want to be watching this very carefully because we want to make sure that there's no conflict of interest there. We want to make sure that there's no friends, family members, associates, or any other influences that might make it so that they actually need to recuse themselves from a vote like that would give them and their friends and their family members and perhaps their business associates or whatever. We just want to make sure that we're watching that very carefully. So we will be doing that. And I wanted to let you know that we're going to be keeping you up to date on that as well on the road ahead, because the relationship between purchasing of sex, prostitution, organized crime, human trafficking, I mean, you and I both know that, but apparently they don't. So we need to really watch them on the road ahead to make sure that they make a better decision than the one that looks like they're going to be making now. So anyway, thanks so much. We appreciate your time today. It's just so exciting to be a part of your life, and I look forward to serving you on the road ahead. However, in the meantime, and until next time, just know that I believe that God is going to bless you abundantly in 2022. He's going to bless your family, and he is going to bless this nation. Bye for now.